It's an absolutely beautiful day today, and I'm here to talk to you about what I did in the gym and how it applies to lecture. What do we do? Well, did the standing calf raise machine, some seated hamstring curls, leg press calf raises, leg press, just leg press, stiff-legged RDLs, and then we did some. Oh yes, we had to do barbell squats today. Not a stable movement. Couldn't really effectively push it to failure, but I did my best. The gym was crowded, and it would seem like every time someone got off a Smith machine, there's another person would be right back on it, and it was just a big deal. So I did barbell squats, and I did dumbbell sissy squats. I put a dumbbell up on my shoulder and braced myself on the side of the power rack, and I did sissy squats. I thought by having the dumbbell on one side, it would kind of bias one leg over the other. But that didn't really seem to be the case, and I think that's because I kind of supported myself with the other hand, and I was able to, get a good stretch. It actually felt really good, and I kind of like it better than the Smith machine version, if I'm being honest. It did really feel less stable, and it was easier to set up. The only issue I see is that as weight gets heavier, it's going to be a little bit harder to get into position. Um, so a little bit of a trade-off there. And then what did I do? That was the end of the workout. Let's talk about how it presents. So, exercising is stressful. We have epinephrine. We have our adrenergic receptors and their subtypes, the physiological response. You see, epinephrine and norepinephrine stimulate muscle contraction by binding to adrenergic receptors. Acetylcholine inhibits muscle contraction by binding to cholinergic receptors. So, obviously, in AAP, I was taught wrong. I was taught acetylcholine does the work. Simply not true. Norepinephrine exerts a much more powerful effect because it leaks out of the neuromuscular junction as more norepinephrine is released than needed usually because it's like 10 times stronger essentially. So we have our beta 1 receptors. Epinephrine, norepinephrine functions the same here. It's going to be the CAMP system. It's going to up our heart rate. So it's going to increase glycogenolysis and lipolysis. Beta 2 receptors, epinephrine, is going to be exert a greater effect here. It's the same system. We're going to get bronchodilation and vasodilation. Then beta 3 receptors, norepinephrine is going to have a greater effect. And then it's the same system, CAMP, going to increase our lipolysis. So if we think beta receptors, what are we getting here? We're getting an increase in cardiac output and an increase in O2 inspiration, and we're also increasing the amount of energy that's in our blood. We're upping free fatty acids, so we're sparing glucose in a sense. So when you think about this in conjunction with cortisol and exercise, it's stressful. Not only do we have a cortisol response, but we have the sympathetic nervous system response, and we're getting this sort of double whammy with glucose sparing. So to me, this signifies that, hey, blood glucose is super duper important, dude. You don't want that brain to die. Now let's talk about the opposite, alpha receptors. Epinephrine is, the main one here. That's the phospholipase C system, actually. It's the only one that uses the phospholipase C system. What our modulator is calcium, and we're going to get vasoconstriction. And then alpha 2 beta receptors, we're going to have the adenylate cyclase system, and it's going to oppose beta 1 and beta 2 receptors, and we're going to decrease insulin secretion. It's quite odd. So I have to think about how this works in conjunction because it seems, kind of contradictory. But thankfully, I drew a thing. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not even able to find the thing within a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, that's basically how it is. So we think phospholipase C. Where did I write it down? Where did I write down phospholipase C system? I know I wrote that down. Yes, okay, so we're going to have PIP2 binding extracellularly. It's going to get cleaved into IP3 by intracellular phospholipase C. We're going to have DAG released as a result in the membrane. Once DAG levels are high enough in the membrane, protein kinase C activated as a result of IP3 binding to the endoplasmic reticulum and causing calcium release. That's going to activate PKC. We're going to have the phosphorylation of our substrates. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to cover that because I don't feel like there's been a lot of coverage of phospholipase C system.